Hi, welcome to the PhD Journey Unplugged Podcast. My name is Dr. Sarah Gordon. Today we're on episode 63, and I have my friend and incredible triathlete, professional triathlete, Amy Vantassel on the show. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to see you.
You too. We Amy was on episode 15. So if you want to go back to 15, we did an episode called Love Your Discipline, and we talk a lot about kind of your background in racing and your bio. And it was a great episode. It was a while. We recorded August 25th.
Yeah.
It was a while ago, but Amy and I I just love how the universe works. We met in an airport on our
Yep.
way down to Cozumel to do the half Ironman down there. And I remember seeing you in the airport thinking, she's cool. And that was it. I think we talked a little bit and then checked in at the hotel. And then we were at the same hotel. And then, just we just kept bumping into each other. And yeah, it's just great. It's so great to have you back on the show.
Thank you so much. And I would like to add that we were in the lounge at the airport.
Yeah, that was it's interesting because like looking back on it for me, that was like the first time I've ever done anything for that, like that for you. And it's kind of what we're going to talk about today. You've traveled the world maybe multiple times and lots of times actually, and you've had exposure to so many different cultures and different ways of life and opportunities to race. And that was my first time going, out of the country for a race. And I was thinking about, first of all, I missed you. I wanted to get you back on, say, how's it going? What's going on in your life? But I was thinking about like, what could we learn from you? And I really would love to focus today on what it's like traveling the world as a professional triathlete or even just an age grouper, as
Yeah,
people travel the world in the sport of triathlon, what is that like when you visit different cultures? I think it's an important question to ask, and I think that we all can learn a lot from your experiences.
that's great. I think you nailed it on the head. It's an important question to ask. And I believe it's what we can learn from my experience is I'm still learning every day. And I believe it all started, no, I know it did when I was doing kind of domestic, kind of closer by races. Ones you could drive to or maybe fly to, but all in the US. And they just didn't feel as adventurous as going elsewhere. And when I first did a more exotic race, I realized conflating these two things or combining them or fusing my love of racing or what became a kind of professional career and doing adventure travel is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. And so you never see me doing Ironman Texas. um, just because as long as I'm traveling somewhere, I would love to go somewhere that's not just kind of exotic for me, but somewhere that is beyond my comfort zone
Hmm.
or beyond what I'm used to so that I can learn. Um,
Hmm.
and so not only is it somewhere abroad, but it's just, Barcelona, which is also awesome. I've raced over there too. But I love to find corners of the world where it's kind of like I never thought I would be in Kuala Lumpur before, and now I am. And there happens
Where
to be a race here.
where is
So
that? I don't even know where that is.
that one is Malaysia.
Malaysia.
Yeah, yeah. And that's another thing. I just started to play this really fun geography game with my family, and the traveling. I did not know I could not put Malaysia on a map before I went there, and so
Mhm.
all of these travels, it's lifelong learning, right?
Do you
Still learning.
would it be hard for you to kind of like give a list of all the countries that you've been to? Or just,
Great question. Yeah.
I mean, just kind of what comes to memory?
Yeah, I think it would be kind of hard because like, oh, and I went to that one too. But what I love is there's the difference because races in Phuket, Thailand, and the Philippines and Malaysia, and I was just in Taiwan. Those are kind of similar, different experiences. But then going to Europe, you learn so much going to Europe. You're going there very soon. Are you going to Switzerland or you see? And it's just so different. I mean, politics, um, the demography, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and going to Mont Tremblant in Montreal. It's only up there on our same continent, but the culture is remarkably different and eye
Mm-hmm.
opening. And I get to practice a little French, you know, and so I love so it's more the diversity of it all. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Kona is an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And then one year after, I think it was right after COVID, I went to the Americana cities that I would never have gone to as well, like Tulsa and Des Moines and Louisville. And those, you know, you kind of learn there's different culture there too, right? But the kind of the standout ones to me are always going to be those southeastern Asian countries. It's
Have you
just,
have you been to any of the like Abu Dhabi? Did I say that
yeah,
correctly?
yeah. There's another one. I was just there in February
Wow.
and it was wild. It's literally on the opposite side of the earth. And so long plane trips, but really eye-opening there. All the, you know, I always learn about the country before I go. And the first thing I look at is usually what religion is predominant there,
Okay.
because that's where it's so important to me to learn about etiquette that I might or might not mess up. And I think that's a big one.
That's a great lesson, and I guess I would like to ask you, like, based on all your experiences and traveling to all these different countries, like, have there been situations where, like, something that you could teach other people to kind of avoid so they don't get into a situation like that?
Yeah, and the situation it depends on the country what the ramifications are. No joke, in some countries I've been to, the ramifications could be severe. Something like getting arrested or something.
Okay.
Certainly if you had like edibles with THC or something in that, you could get arrested. But for me, it's just as bad to have made a snafu or something sacrilegious or a lack of etiquette. Something like in Abu Dhabi, we went to a temple and you have to cover up. And I did something silly, like I went like this, and that is completely not cool to do in a mosque. And a security guard came over and blew his whistle, and I was so embarrassed and ashamed. And so,
Well, it's hard because it's like part of that is just your personality. Because what I learned about, I remember when we were in Cozumel and I had already started, following you on Instagram, and I was like, my pictures were like pretty sunsets and palm trees, and you were like embracing the culture. I can't remember what holiday was going on. They had all those interesting statues all over the island and colorful things. I was like,
totally,
wow, she's really
yeah.
immersing herself in the culture. And I thought that was very cool. So part of it's like your personality, wanting to embrace it all, and part of it's kind of like understanding the boundaries, I guess, of these countries that you go into.
Totally. And I think the theme that we're talking about now, and I
Mhm.
hope we'll continue to,
Yes.
is that we are representing the world of triathlon. Because when a triathlon comes to a town, that town is going to say, "Whoa, these are triathletes. What are they like?" The
Hmm.
hotels are going to, the villages are going to, everyone. And if triathletes, we as a gestalt, as kind of writ large as the
Hmm.
group, are kind and generous and explore the culture, that's going to go a long way in the positive. If we don't learn about customs and we're not extra kind in hotels or lodging or around town, or don't even try with the language, then that's going to show up too. I mean, every country I go to, in addition to learning about the religion before I go, I always at least learn hello, thank you. That's a big one. And sorry. And so it's not that hard. And so there are ways. we have to be so self-conscious when we go. And it is hard. I like what's different. I like to explore the back roads. And often what gets tricky is when I explore the back roads and I look for the most different things and the most different people, it is often those who are underprivileged in
Hmm.
general. I stumble upon maybe shack, and I think that's so cool. Or I stumble upon, I spend a lot of time in Mexico, and I'll go and I'll see some cute old abuelita in like an apron or like doing something on a farm or something. And I think it's the coolest thing. Very sensitive and awkward though, because I don't want to be a voyeur. I don't want to be voyeuristic and say, here I am on my whatever $20,000 bike with my iPhone taking pictures of someone working in a field. That can get very awkward. And so I'm continually learning, and there's a lot to think about.
I'm glad you brought that up because I remember, and I strongly recommend to our listeners to go back to episode 15 because you'll get a lot more depth about, and foundational information with Amy and her educational background and her racing background. But I do remember, so I don't want to repeat all that here, but I do remember you saying something, which you just kind of touched on, is that when athletes, triathletes, or just let's just say athletes in general,
Yeah,
go to race in countries, some of these countries, maybe having a mindset of like, how can we give back a bit? Like we go, like you go in, you race, you're on, like you said, the expensive equipment, it's all
yeah,
exciting, but like there are having that sensitivity to these communities that, aren't quite as privileged. So in your mind, and if anybody is listening out there that, has that same kind of passion to build a platform like that, like how could
yeah.
athletes give back? What could they do?
It's such a great question. And I wish that between that episode and now, I had something to present to you in my energy.
Next one.
Next time, maybe I will, because I think about it so much and
No, I know you do.
I need to put my literal money where my mouth is. I need to manifest. But what I mean, I just got chills because what I think about all the time is triathletes are so relatively affluent, and we go in droves to the tune of there were like 10,000 athletes in this village in Taiwan
Wow.
last weekend.
Wow.
It was over the course. They had several events, and they had a full, they had a half, they had a big kids, they had
That's a lot of people.
so many, and all of them are relatively affluent. There is a missed opportunity here. We have mobilized 10,000 people. I saw most of them driving Land Rovers to a small village that doesn't, get that usually unless there's an event like this.
Does
Not a
the
small village.
does the
It's a city, but
money funnel to these smaller villages through registration fees or hotel stays or restaurants? Like, how does that work?
absolutely. I mean, the revenue is going to be the big thing.
Okay.
And I said Taichung is a village. It's not. It's a small city, and you hope it trickles out. Of course, with the tourism and the revenue, it will
Hmm.
definitely. But there's more. I mean, we are there for probably a week, right?
Right.
And 1 year in Taiwan, Challenge Family, because the Challenge Family is wonderful, had ordered all of the pros to go to a school and give a little lesson, give back,
Oh, I love
look at
that.
the school. I love
That's
that.
good direction.
It's so easy. It's like we're birds in the hand
Right.
right
That's a really
there.
good direction.
And what you can utilize there too is not so much me, but I, race against some arguably famous people with big outreach.
Hmm.
Like Europeans were coming there. They have, what 10,000 followers or whatever. And if they then post and raise awareness about whatever the cause is, I just think that when you look at a race expo, when you look at the population of a race, the athletes and their families make it exponential, right? So if
Mhm.
a race has 2,000 people, that means there are 5,000 there
Right.
or more. Um, there, it's just such a missed opportunity to do good. Like
Mhm.
I have this little bent about breast cancer awareness just because something else came up. And the first thing I thought of is that thing I just learned about that I didn't know about. If I didn't know about it, very few people probably do. They should set up a booth at every Ironman and every challenge family, like
Yeah, that's a
it's
great
just such an
idea.
opportunity.
Yeah, I love that. I love it's kind of like training for a triathlon, it's very personal, right? Because you're pushing yourself,
Yeah,
you're challenging yourself,
yeah,
but recognizing it's so much more. It can be so much bigger than that. It's about community and it's
totally.
about giving back to the community. And like you're seeing in all these different places in the world, within, and even I'm sure you've seen interesting things within the United States, but you're going to all these different places and you can see all kind of like inequities, um, and
Yeah.
just ways to like to educate people. And I know, I just want to, not to embarrass you, but you have a master's degree from Harvard University. You
Mhm.
understand education, you know?
Yeah,
So
outreach.
I think a lot of it is like, yeah, education and outreach, through sport.
Totally.
I love that. It's a
Totally.
great
And
direction.
some orgs do that, of course. Team and training is awesome. There's some orgs that do that. And there's some triathlon teams that actively give back. That's awesome. But there's gotta be a way for the race companies to formally leverage the mobilization of
Hmm.
2000 plus relatively
Hmm.
affluent people to just do something even little wherever we go.
I love that. So, okay, so back to culture. Okay, so what is your most vivid memory of maybe something that was, let's do a positive and a major learning experience.
Great, great, wonderful,
Let's
awesome.
start with positive.
Yeah. Positive would be all of the monkeys in Malaysia. No, but that was quite the experience. I'm thinking of I spent some time in Thailand and got to ride some real back roads, like back roads. And the thing happened where the children come running out to the street and like chase you, because I mean, these were back roads and they probably hadn't seen anything like me, maybe ever. I mean, I am very tall and white and wearing very weird costumes, right? like, and weird helmet.
They probably
And
thought you
so
were like some alien, just
it
like,
was
and
alien.
the
I always think, yeah,
glasses, the optic
yeah, it was
nerve
very
glasses.
special. like what is going on? But they come out and they're kind of chasing me, and so I stop. And again with the voyeurism, I didn't want to just take pictures of like native children. I mean, this is so back roads that they were honestly in like cloth, like
Um,
they weren't in Western clothing at all.
mhm.
And I remember I had some bracelets and I'm just like looking for anything I have like that I could give
To
to
give
them
them.
without being patronizing, but they loved it. And so I gave some
Right.
girls my bracelets and they're like, oh, they just loved it. And I'm like, okay, next time I ride, I'm gonna wear
I
like
just was gonna say
20.
that's like an easy thing to get a bunch of like little fabric bracelets or something. They'd be
Totally,
lightweight. You could race with them and have, a dozen of them
totally,
on your arm. That's a great idea.
totally,
Yeah, I love that.
totally. And then
This,
I also I think it was the Philippines, and we were at a press conference, and they had the pros. They had our names up behind us with our flags of where we're from, and every when they opened the floor to questions, everyone picked on me and the one other dude who was there from the US. And they started to ask us political questions. And we're like, oh, we're
Dang.
not prepared to
Right.
represent our country. So I don't know what our stance is here. um, and so that was, I don't know if I'm veering away from the positive, but that was just kind of eye opening about the whole you're representing when you
Well,
travel.
I think that's an interesting observation because you've been racing long enough to go through these different political tides. And so,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
sentiment in the world. And so and maybe you can speak to this in terms of lessons learned, is when you go over to these countries and you go overseas to kind of think about that. Like, where are we? How are we
Oh,
seen in the world?
totally.
And just be more sensitive to that, perhaps. I
That
mean,
sensitivity.
it's
Yeah.
unfortunate to have to think that way, but I think you kind of do.
You absolutely have to do. It is unfortunate. And this is a great segue to the negative, or let's call it lessons learned,
Lessons
as you
learned.
said.
I was
Um,
trying to be like positive about it. All right.
exactly. So
Let's go for it.
when I post on social media, some of it I is kind of obligatory with a couple of sponsor things, and so but
Right.
I feel so awkward. I never want to be like, eat however, like, so what I do, this is what I've done my whole life, is I just try to be funny or self-deprecating or just kind of goofy. And I'm still learning, and every day I can't just travel the world and just rely on that without thinking of sensitivity, without remembering that there are politics in the world. And two major lessons learned were, just as you said, with the changing politics.
Mhm.
When the first administration was elected the first time around, I was in Salou, Spain, and then Mallorca, and I forget which one of them, but someone Spanish asked me where I'm from, and I was like, oh, lo siento de Estados Unidos. And I was apologizing because I was so frustrated with my home politics. And we were at a group dinner, I think, and he took me aside and he said, "You sound like an you sound like an ass when you say that, when you're just apologizing for your country."
Interesting.
He's like, then don't live there, or find something positive to say, or tell us
Wow.
why. And he kind of reamed me out, and I never thought about that because, Sarah, I went left and right saying, "Oh, I'm from stupid United States."
Right.
And that was so obtuse. And he taught me a salient lesson.
Hmm.
Like, you just sound dumb. It's
Right.
like, then do something about it, say something positive, or don't live there, or, you know.
Right. That's so
Um,
interesting. Yeah.
so that was a big one. And then, as you know, I just had a huge one this week. Um,
Yeah.
it
And
was
can I just say
yeah,
one caveat because we've been scheduled to record for like months now on this day,
yeah,
right? And we changed the
yeah,
time a couple times, but and then in
right.
my mind, because I know you and I respect you and I love the way you are, I love the way you approach the world and life. I was thinking to myself, let's do an episode on culture. Amy travels the world and she loves to embrace culture. And this was already in my mind. I just want to make sure everybody understands that.
Yeah,
This was not
sure.
a knee-jerk reaction to what just happened to
Exactly.
you. Okay, go ahead.
Exactly. That's important too,
Mhm.
because, well, as I just experienced, we don't want it to look as though, like, I'm taking advantage of this kind of
No,
sensational thing that happened, or as I
no,
put it, I don't want to. It's called like wagging the dog by changing the narrative or
no,
redirecting.
this was
This is
always the
just
plan. It's
exactly,
just the timing's very
yeah.
serendipitous.
It
Okay.
is it is serendipitous. So I posted several posts when I was in Thailand last weekend and last week, and I got more than one direct message, and some comments that were maybe the most severe in my life.
Mm.
calling me out on insensitivities. Um, and the words they used to describe me were so severe that I was shocked and I was devastated. Real big words, words that are associated with some bad things in history. This really like basically, I feeling as though I was almost embarking upon terrorism. Now, I'm not mincing words. And I think that severity, whether I agree with it being proportionate or not, was necessary for me to really learn this lesson and then subsequently make a formal apology announcement, which then incited a lot of conversation. But that's the way things work. That's the way things get discourse happens. Um, so I some of the things I posted, kind of like that voyeurism thing I've always been afraid of. I posted about some Buddhist pictures of Buddhist temples and statues of Buddhist monks. I posted myself using chopsticks and wearing a robe that was clearly Asian. I would never otherwise wear it. I am truly ashamed about a post I made about breakfast in Taiwan and that I was kind of not interested in any of it because it's like heavy soups and meats. I actually did try. I do kind of try everything, but I was trying to be cute or self-deprecating about eating carbs, and it came off so wrong, and I can see it. And then I posted about the kids triathlon, and the kids were all they appeared to me to be all Taiwanese. And so by saying these are the cutest kids or something, someone pointed out that I might have been um, calling them cute in like a China doll or different way than than the rest of the world. And of all of those things, everything's arguable. I got a lot of support on the other way saying those things aren't offensive. I got a lot of disdain and criticism for why they were offensive, which I value. And I I keep harkening back to this um, quote by Hank Azaria. He played Apu on Simpsons, um, which is a character I loved. And he stopped one day and for cultural reasons, for sensitivity reasons. And everyone said, "You can't stop. Come on. It's not that insensitive. We love Apu." And he said, "If one person is offended, then I'm stopping." And so I think the takeaway that let's just focus on the one obtuse thing that I did, which was posting me using chopsticks in a rope, which is viewed by some people as appropriation. Some people said, come on, like I use chopsticks, or, Asian people use forks. But it's, I don't think you and I are gonna discourse about whether that is sensitive or not. But the takeaway is I need to think before I act. We all need to think and see how it can come off to the world. And I guess I'm mainly talking about social media, but that also has to do with representing ourselves abroad. I saw a girl show up in Abu Dhabi and she's got like this low cut tank top thing on and these little sugar shorts. And I'm kind of like, just not here, maybe not near this temple or something. I don't know. It's just like kind of sensitivity thing.
No,
And yeah,
I think what you're saying is if we're gonna travel abroad, then we're ambassadors of the sport. And the triathlon community is such a beautiful community. So much, it's like the best of humanity comes out in it. I mean, you see it all the time with people, their why they're doing it, what they're
yeah,
overcoming, who they're
yeah,
doing it for. And so I think and I think that we live in a very fast-paced world now where we are all posting and doing reels you know, and we have the freedom to do that in our country. Not all places in the world have that freedom to begin with,
yeah,
to just
right.
post and have freedom of expression and creativity, all that kind of stuff. Like to me, I think you were just like you're being creative, but I think that you gave everybody a really good lesson there. Like before you if you're traveling, and I think you have to, you can even rank where you're going. Some places are going to be more sensitive than other
Yeah,
places.
yeah.
But spend some time to understand the culture. And like you said, t take some time to be mindful about like, what you're doing over there. Because I don't think they're offensive, but I understand through a different lens that they can be misconstrued that way. And that's just a new way we need to think. You need to think how something could be, which is unfortunate, but it's a reality for all of us. Because your intentions were not to harm anybody, right? Your intentions were to kind of just be creative with it. So just understanding how our actions might be taken, to hurt other people in some way. So I commend you for just saying like, I learned and I'm sorry. And now using this opportunity to teach other people. What else do you want to share about it?
You articulated that so well. It just,
Thank you.
it's
Well,
so
it's easier
true.
for me because I didn't experience it. And I'm sorry you went through it because I know you and I feel like it takes a little bit of the light out of your, it dims your light just a little bit because you're such a great bright light. But I also wonder if it's just a sign of the times that we're living in now a little bit. I don't know, like if you're going to travel and you're American, maybe I just don't know. I don't understand it. I feel
Mhm.
bad that you had to go through it, but I think it's a learning opportunity.
Learning opportunity.
What else can you say?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think what it boils down to is what you said, that we are ambassadors, whether we like it or not,
Mhm.
when we go to these
Mhm.
places, anywhere.
Right,
We're triathletes, and you and I are U.S. citizens,
right.
and there's no kind of getting around that. I used to, when I crossed the line at Cozumel, you know how they give you the flag?
Yes.
I used to always grab the Mexican flag
Aw,
because I love Mexico.
I know you do. I love watching your posts. I'm like, oh, where is she now? Like,
I
I love your adventurous spirit, and I really hope this experience that you just had doesn't like take that away
know.
from you in any way. Don't be scared to go back out there. Just
Thank you.
teach people through this
Yeah,
episode and
yeah,
other opportunities when you educate. Like, we just have to, I guess, look at something from all different angles,
absolutely,
you know?
totally.
Maybe that's the key. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. That's it. And I guess a more a positive way to kind of outro the topic is that how lucky are we as triathletes that we combine going to new places when
Mhm.
we do a triathlon? Unless you're doing one in your hometown, when you go to Florida, you're kind of like, I had no idea that there were hills and lakes in the middle and cool towns in Claremont, Florida, in the middle of the
Right.
city. So cool. So cool. In Louisville, Kentucky, I remember someone saying, "Oh, you're from Portland, like Portlandia. You're crazy radical," and it's kind of like, okay, politics. Here we go. Okay, got it. And then a huge thing is friends.
Friends.
So even when I made this post, I didn't intend to curry support when I made my apology post.
Right. Which I
I didn't.
which I read it and it was beautiful and it was genuine. It was heartfelt and
Good,
and you accepted the
good,
responsibility regardless of
good.
how, regardless, you accepted the
Yeah,
responsibility and that says a lot about you.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure it was genuine and not kind of like not what I think, but anyway.
Right. No,
And
it
I didn't
was.
intend to curry support, but I'm grateful because a lot of people did reach out to me, and it was like a little midlife reminder of some of the places I've been to. I heard from a dude from Israel from when I did Ultraman Israel, and it warmed my heart. Like I heard from some friends from Spain. I'm still in touch with our host from Abu Dhabi. And 3 months later, we've been communicating. And to the wonderful parts of triathlon that you were mentioning too, it sounds schmaltzy to be like community, but this is where we make our connections. Just like you, this is where I make my friends.
It's true. And
And
I found that in my research too. It was a major theme. It was a major exercise motivation,
cool, totally.
enjoyment and the health benefits, obviously, and sense of
Right.
community. It was like so clear. It was like a huge part of it. And
Mm.
I just wanted to say, when you mentioned Israel, I'm just gonna give you a little shout out. Amy was the overall winner, 2018, men and women, Ultraman double Ironman distance in Israel. That is quite an accomplishment.
The glory days.
Well, it's part of your resume, and I'm not sure if that gentleman you're talking about is from that
Thank you.
period of time,
Yeah,
but
I think so.
that was a big moment for you.
That was
You know,
great
you've been
though.
in this for a long time, so you have a lot of clarity. So how do we wrap this up? Let me ask you this question. And I love that people came that it's kind of like I don't know if I should use this analogy or not, but like when you go to a funeral, it's kind of like a sad thing, but then you see all these people
Yeah,
and you're like they haven't
yeah,
seen for a long time and then like just you all connect in such a beautiful way. It brings community. So sometimes in these hard moments, it gives us these opportunities to then shine. And so, maybe that's like the silver lining in it. You know what I mean? So,
that sounds really sage. That's a really good analogy. I think it's
okay.
apt. Yeah,
All right, so let's do this. Let's finish on a let's so all these places, just a couple questions and we'll be done. All these places you visited, favorite food, favorite country, favorite food. I don't think that's an insensitive question.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just curious based on your own experience.
Yeah, great question. I was thinking about that too. I've been real, and I had discourse with someone who instructed me about the topics. I'm kind of like one of my favorite things to do is push about food, and some of it's yuck, and some of it's awesome. And I was thinking when this first happened, am I never going to be able to again? And then now it's just kind of like, no, I just need to think a lot more. And today you're helping me with my first practice back into the
I
world
know,
of
because like
discussing foreign food.
I just asked you that question, and now I'm thinking, I didn't mean that like in a sense. I just meant like in your favorite memories, you have a memory bank of like all these experiences. Like what stands out? Like ice cream and whatever,
Totally.
or pastries
Totally.
here. But
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe
Yeah. Okay. Well,
oh
I'll
no,
give.
rethink
I know.
everything.
A. Yeah, I know.
Let's move
I've
to
been a
another
little.
question.
No, actually, no, because I'm really excited to answer this one,
Okay.
and it will be good practice for both of us because I've been so hypersensitive this
I
week
know.
that I was just my boyfriend and I were watching a soccer game, and I was like, I don't want to pronounce that guy's last name because I'm going to pronounce it wrong. He's from Zimbabwe or something, but it's
You're
kind of
so
like okay.
genuine. You're so
It's
authentic. It's
like,
just a shame. Go ahead.
but okay, so one is I'll just this one is actually kind of Western, but I did a there's a it's like a race. It's a stage of the Tour de France,
Okay.
and we were staying in chalets way up there.
Hmm.
Like, and I don't know if it's Annecy or I forget where we were actually, but it was the Queen stage of the Tour de France that year. And we were in this lodge in the sky.
Wow.
And I woke up for breakfast and they had tables of cheese,
Oh my gosh.
tables of different types of amazing cheese. And I was kind of like, I'm home.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. I have arrived. I was kind of like, what bike race? I'm staying here.
That's good. I like that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. That
All
one isn't
right.
as exotic, but yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to give you the final word. Whatever you want to share with our audience about traveling the world as a triathlete and just to leave them with something, to help them in that experience for themselves.
It's a great question. And I love it because some people say to me, I don't have a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I'm self-employed for my other job. And a lot of people say, oh, it must be nice you have all this money and don't have to work so you can travel the world. And I'm kind of like, where's the money that you're talking about? I do. I don't think that I do. A lot of people, a lot of triathletes assume that going to an event very far away is as off is not as possible for them, because of well, let's just focus on cost.
Okay.
And I can't tell you how many times I have compared. My coach wanted me to do a race near you. I could have seen you. The Pro-Am in White Lake this
Oh, right,
past,
right. Yeah,
I
in
think it
North
was
Carolina.
yesterday.
Yeah, I know some,
Yeah.
yes, I know somebody who
Um,
posted she did
yeah.
that. Hmm. But I
Yeah.
think the bike
Okay. So
ride
I
got
was,
the bike ride got shortened or something I read.
oh, bummer. I would have liked
I'm
that.
not sure. I'm not sure.
Uh, oh, well, and I would have loved to have gone, but I can't tell you how many times I've done the math, and a lot of the domestic uh, events, a lot of the hotels know that the event is coming and they jack their
Mhm.
prices or have minimums. And then flights these days are crazy no matter what. I'm getting to the point. I can't tell you how many times I have done the math with what it would cost for me to do Texas or Maryland or Lake Placid or Florida, compared with Mexico, Asia, Europe, even South Africa, and they've
Mhm.
been comparable,
That's incredible.
like the
So,
same amount.
so go where
Yeah,
your heart
or less.
desires. Yeah, go with it.
Check,
Go.
check it
Don't
out.
hold yourself back.
Look at the flight.
Look at the
Go
flight.
on kayak. That's my parting line. Kayak. Compare flights.
Um, all right. What's next for you? I always like to ask you that. What's next? No
I
pressure.
yeah. Well, that's another thing. To piggyback on check kayaks and the flights, but check race companies and races that aren't the most popular name brand race that we
Okay.
know. And I love that most popular name brand race. It's called Ironman. But there are others. Think about how many off-brand races are in the U.S. There are also that many in France
Hmm.
or in Africa or in Mexico or South America, Brazil. There are so many triathlons in Brazil,
Wow.
so many. And so next I'm going to do some gravel racing here in the Pacific Northwest,
That's cool.
and then I'm going to go to Korea. Yeah,
You're going to South Korea, obviously.
South Korea. Yep,
Yeah.
yep,
I was like, obviously you're going to South
yep,
Korea.
yep. That's the
Wow.
one.
So what are you going to do? It's just, I know I keep saying, but I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah,
always so intrigued by you.
yeah.
What are you
That
going
one's
to
a half.
do? What is it?
That's a half distance
What are you going to
triathlon.
do to prepare yourself culturally to go there? What would you
Great
do?
question. It's time. I've been there before, so that really helps.
Okay.
Um, uh, Basically take the lessons I learned this past week because
Okay.
it's going to be very comparable in terms of going to Asia and
Great.
representing there. Yeah,
Okay. Um, Not to put you on the spot, but if anybody wants to reach out to you because they now listening to this, I don't know, they have some hesitations or they have some concerns or they just
yeah.
want to learn. Can people reach out to you directly somehow?
I would be honored.
Okay.
Be honored.
Okay.
Best way would be my Instagram is Amy Vantassel, and I check those messages often.
Okay. Excellent. All right, Amy. I'm gonna just sign off. Stay right there. I'm
I
so
will.
grateful to have you back on the show. I'm so grateful that we met at this moment, this important moment for you. And I hope our listeners really learned from Amy. And we wish you all the best. And I would love to have you back on again in the future. And we'll just keep going on this journey. As always, I am absolutely just grateful and honored to have the PhD Journey Unplugged podcast. All right, everybody. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.